Hey guys, today I'm ranking the top 25 NHL players heading into the season. Very important for you to know is that these rankings are based off of the last 3 seasons alone and will not be looking at their entire careers. So if you're wondering why there are such famous players lower than expected, this is why. Also a quick shout out to Steven Stamkos, Adam Fox, Mika Zibanejad, Jack Eichel, Blake Wheeler, Matthew Barzal, and Connor Hellebuck for just missing out on this list. At number 25 is Kirill Kaprisov, the savior of the Minnesota Wild. And in his first season, he is already a superstar, scoring at a 40-goal pace and a 76-point pace in an 82-game season. And he's great on the power play, he scores at crucial times, he plays 18 minutes a night, he puts up really good possession metrics, and is already very good defensively. Mark Scheifele is number 24, and he ranks 18th in points per game in the past 3 seasons. In fact, last season he was on pace for 92 points in a full year. And he's good defensively, and he plays over 20 minutes a night, and he's also above average in possession metrics. So just to summarize, he's one of the most consistent NHL players out there. Brayden Point comes in at number 23, and we can instantly point out, no pun intended, that he's one of the best playoff producers in the world, scoring 73 points in 67 games. Just absolutely insane numbers. And in the regular season, he's still one of the league's best, basically scoring at a point per game in the past 3 seasons. True, last season he was on pace for only 70 points, but with Kucherov injured and him coming back this year, he should be back at around 80 points or so. And another underrated aspect of his game is his defense, as last season he only had 11 giveaways, but 27 takeaways. Sebastian Aho is number 22, and I don't think he gets the credit he deserves. He's exactly a point per game player in the past 3 seasons and is great defensively. His possession numbers are outstanding too, and in the playoffs he's been consistently good. Also, at only 24 years of age, he still has time to become an even bigger threat offensively. Our first controversial pick is Evgeni Malkin, and although he does rank 15th in points per game in the past 3 seasons, this last year is the reason why he's so low. Even with his injuries, Malkin was on pace for 70 points this season, which is still very good, but not as good as others on this list. He's already 35 years old and is coming into the season unhealthily. And he's also playing less minutes and is not spectacular defensively, but his possession metrics are still really good. And there's still a chance that he can bounce back next season. Oh boy. I can already see the angry comments based on this hot take, but I do think that Ovechkin is the 20th best player heading into this year. Yes, he's the best goal scorer in NHL history, but again, we're only looking at the past 3 years. He actually ranks 19th in points per game over that time and 3rd in goals, but he's been under a point per game for 2 seasons in a row now, and he's 36 years old and is being relied on slightly less. He might someday be first in goals in history, but for now, he's taking a slight dip in production. Patrice Bergeron comes in at number 19, and he's one of the best two-way players in the world, still putting up over a point per game in the last 3 seasons, and still getting nominated each year for the Selke Trophy. Last year, he was on pace for 73 points, and is still a face-off beast, winning 62% of them, the highest of his career. He also has phenomenal possession numbers, and still plays over 18 minutes a night. The only problem is that he's 36 years old and his offensive numbers are being surpassed by other players. Mark Stone is at number 18, and he's exactly a point per game in the last 3 seasons, and like Bergeron, we all know him for his incredible two-way play. Last season, he was on pace for 91 points and was nominated for the Selke Trophy in 2 of his last 3 seasons. But at age 29, he's in his prime, so these numbers are most likely the most that we'll see from him. Another controversial pick is having Mitch Marner at number 17. On the one hand, he's one of the NHL's best offensive players in the regular season, scoring 228 points in his last 196 games. That's actually 10th best in the NHL. But in the playoffs, he can't seem to play like he does in the regular season, as he's actually failed to score in his past 2 playoff rounds. His possession metrics are also above average, but he's heavily relied upon playing 22 minutes a night. He's very good defensively, and he's only 24 years old, so there's still room for improvement. Jonathan Huberdeau sits at number 16, and Huberdeau has somewhat quietly become one of the NHL's best offensive players, as he is 13th in points per game over the past 3 years, and having scored at over a 90 points pace for each of those years. His defensive game has also improved, and his possession numbers have become remarkable. He's 28 years old, so it's not likely that we see further improvements in his game, but he will be playing on a good Florida Panthers team next year. I have Victor Hedman at number 15. Some of you may think this is too low, but it's extremely hard to judge defensemen versus forwards. Hedman is Tampa's rock on defense and is known for his reliable two-way game. Even at the age of 30, Hedman ranks third in points per game in the last 3 seasons among defensemen, averaging over 65 points per 82 games. His defensive game is equally good, and his playoff contribution can't be overstated as he won the Conn Smythe last year, and he was also nominated for the Norris in the past 3 seasons. At number 14, I have Cale Makar, and in my opinion, he is the NHL's best defenseman. He's only 22 years old, but has been the second best offensive defenseman since he joined the league, and is a proven playoff producer. He's already won the Calder Trophy, and I think he should have won the Norris this year. His defensive game is also impressive, and his possession metrics are through the roof. And, because he's so young, it's obvious that he'll become an even better player. At number 13, I have David Pastrnak, but I would have had him higher if he had a better regular season last year. He is ranked 8th in points per game over the past 3 years, and he even won the Rocket Richard Trophy last year. But this season he suffered injuries and resulted in him scoring 48 points in 48 games. His defense is still not among the best, but his possession metrics have been great, and his playoff production has been phenomenal too. So a comeback season will pull him higher on this list next year. Another Avs player, Mikko Rantanen, is at number 12. He's 11th in points per game over the past 3 seasons. He plays almost 20 minutes a night and is a very good defensive player, and he contributes to the second best line in hockey, as this past year he was on pace for 47 goals and 104 points. He's outstanding possession metrics-wise, and in the playoffs he dominates. The best part is that he's only 24 and still has time to crack the top 10. Andrei Vasilevskiy is at number 11, and I have him there because he's proven himself as the best goalie in the league, winning 1 Vezina and being nominated twice in the past 3 years, but he has also been playing in front of a stacked team that has won back-to-back Stanley Cups. He's averaged a .22 save percentage since 2019, which is really good, and his 2.39 goals against average is also very impressive. But I think what makes him so high on my list this year is that he won the Conn Smythe last season and came 7th in hard votings too, which is very rare for a goalie. Now into my top 10, Aleksander Barkov is finally on my list. He was once hockey's most underrated player, but is now getting his credit due. His offensive numbers are great, as in 2 of his last 3 seasons, he's averaged over 90 points a year, going along with his amazing defensive game, in which he won his first Lucky Trophy last year. He plays over 20 minutes a night, his possession metrics are great, and he's a great face-off man too. At number 9, I have Patrick Kane. I was hesitant to put him higher than Barkov, but he's still proven to be among the NHL's best offensive players in the past 3 seasons, scoring at a 1.26 points per game during that time, which is 7th in the league. In fact, he's almost an 100-point player in a full year at the age of 32. He logs a ton of minutes, and despite his defensive game needing some work, he'll have players like Jonathan Toews back, as well as newcomers Fleury and Jones to help him out this year. The Breadman comes in at number 8. He's actually tied with Kane in points per game in the last 3 years, but his defensive game is better, which is why he's higher. He has also scored more points per game in the last 2 years, scoring at a 113-point pace per 82 games. He also plays a lot with almost 20 minutes a night, and his possession metrics have been fantastic. He is also in his prime right now, but his team is getting better, so there's a chance he has an even bigger year. Yes, I have Crosby at number 7. Some of you may think he's too high and others may think he's too low, but regardless, it's true that he doesn't seem to age, as he's consistently scoring over 90 points per 82 games in his last 3 seasons and is 9th in points per game over that time. But his defensive game has improved, making him just as valuable as he was a few years ago. He's still playing over 20 minutes a night and is very good at taking faceoffs, but the most impressive part is that last season he was actually 4th in Hart Trophy voting. And his possession numbers are still great, but there is a chance that with his injury and him being 34, he could slow down a little bit. Auston Matthews finds himself at number 6, another controversial pick. He just came off of winning the Maurice Richard and came 2nd in Hart Trophy votes, but I don't think he's a top 3 player. At age 24, his points production has improved significantly over the last 3 years, starting at an 88 points per 82 games to an 104 points per full season last year. His defensive and face-off game are also underrated, his possession metrics are great, and he's now playing over 21 minutes a night. The only thing holding him back is his subpar playoffs play, but if the Leafs can get over the hump, Matthews will crack the top 5. Before you dislike the video, let me explain why Brad Marchand is a top 5. He's been dynamite offensively in the past 3 seasons, and he scored at a 1.27 points per game, 5th best in the NHL. And in each of those 3 seasons, he would have scored over 100 points. Not only that, but he's a beast defensively and has phenomenal possession metrics. As a result, he's been in Selke conversation every year and has been top 5 in Hart votes twice in the past 3 years. Finally, in the playoffs, he's an animal, scoring 47 points in 48 games, 24 of those goals since 2019. At number 4, I have Nikita Kucherov. Yeah, he didn't play in the regular season last year, but his playoffs have silenced any doubters about how good he really is. In his last 3 regular seasons, he's led the league in scoring in 2019, won the Hart Trophy that year too, has averaged 40 goals and a 1.42 points per game. His defensive game is also pretty good. He plays 19 minutes a night and has great possession metrics. In the playoffs, he's a different breed, averaging 1.33 points per game since 2019 and led the league in playoffs points twice in a row. Finally, for our top 3, I have Nathan MacKinnon. He's one of the most explosive skaters and has been the 4th best offensive player in the last 3 years, averaging 107 points during that time. His defensive game is also criminally underrated. He plays around 21 minutes a night, has unbelievable possession metrics, and has been nominated for the Hart Trophy in his last 2 seasons. His playoffs production, though, is even better, having scored 23 goals and 53 points in his last 37 games, and scoring 5 game-winning goals in the process. At number 2, I had to put him here, Leon Draisaitl. You guys can argue all you want for MacKinnon, but I think Draisaitl is better and is even playing on a worse team. Draisaitl has scored at a 1.43 points per game since 2019, second only to his teammate, and is also second in goals with 124, one more than Ovi. He also led the league in scoring in 2020, won league MVP, and was on pace for 127 points that year. In 2021, he continued his offensive demolition with 123 points per 82 games. On defense, he's fantastic as well, and he's got some Selke recognition in the last 2 seasons and plays over 22 minutes a night. And despite his team's playoff failures, he's been over a point per game in that domain as well. And best for last, you already knew it was Connor McDavid at number 1. In the past 3 years, he scored at a 1.61 points per game, won the Hart and got 2 nominations, won a Pearson and an Art Ross, and carries the Oilers to the playoffs every single year. And get this, he went from a 116 points pace in 2019 to an 154 points pace last season. He's easily the league's best player and it's not even close. Enough said. So thanks again for watching the video. Make sure to leave a comment down below. Let me know if you agree or disagree. Make sure to subscribe if you're new, like the video, and I'll see you guys in my next one.